perfecting their art of engineering, have laboured, sweated, struggled, fought against their own slowness to understand their field. And your conspiracy theorists come along and say man never got into space because this, that and the other. They're the ones that are disparaging the hard workers, and we respect those hard workers. Now if they go around saying look at us, no. We have respect to one another for the labours that we put in. Don't go for grandiose titles. Titles are there in society as norm to signify the offices. That is all. A magistrate is a magistrate and that's it. It's no different than us. A counsellor is a counsellor. It's no different than us. It's just that we need terms of reference to know what we're dealing with in life. But the person behind them should only be respected for the good work that they've done. And if they've not done good work, if they've not honoured their office, we don't respect them. We don't respect a judge if he's not done his office. Because God doesn't accept of that man. If he's done wicked, neither should we. If we accept that a bent judge, let's say we get a bent judge, okay, corrupt, do you think God for one moment is going to be involved in wickedness and unrighteousness? No. And if we accept of that judge, we don't do anything to expose that judge, we're siding with that judge, and we're siding therefore with evil, with the devil. We're not siding with God. God abandons us. His face isn't towards us. And we become stronger and stronger in the faith when God is looking upon us. And this is the whole thing with Arminians. We separate from Arminians. We don't have nothing to do with Arminians, because God doesn't have anything to do with Arminians. If we separate to Arminians, then we have not got the smile of God. We're not fit to work for God. 2 Timothy 2:20 and 22 is something to consider. To separate from these people. Earth and wood. Separate. Holy and reverend is his name. Now, further. The world sets up men and women, puts them on pedestals, and says this is Professor such and such, and this is a person here with an MD and a DB and a DH and a BBC and an ITV and all these fancy titles. Fair enough, just got your fancy titles to show exactly what field you are in. So, what's the problem? I go along to the shop and young woman there with her name by John and says Melanie, shop assistant. Fine. I know what she is, I know her name. Alright. D.L. Moody, evangelist, so. D.L. Moody, evangelist. Oh, hang on a minute. Look at all these thousands of people bowing down to him as a god. So therefore then, if I go into a shop and I see this Melanie shop assistant, I should bow down. Should I? You only bow down to God, you don't bow down to man. And then the Arminian will say, well, you know, because it's Arminians that do this. The Arminian spirit. No matter if they declare themselves to be Calvinists, which is a loose term. The thing about it is, that they're bowing down, spiritually bowing down. Heart obeisance. To the Spurgeons, to the Moody's, to the Schofields, to the Finneys, Christmas Evanses, the Tozers, the Modern Lloyd Joneses, to the Paisleys, and so on and so on and so on and so on and so forth. They are respecting them more than they are God. And of course these persons are all fallacious. They're all Demases, Judases. But because heart worship is engaged in, the worshippers don't see this, just like the papists don't see that bowing down before a figurine, an alabaster figurine, is absolutely pointless. For a start, you might as well bow down to a carrot or a potato or a dead body. Alabaster figurine cannot do bugger all. It can't do anything. It's nothing. Oh, but it helps us to engage in prayer. Right, so a little child who's kneeling by the bedside needs an alabaster figurine put on the bed to help that child. No. So that child is better than you. And you're a grown-up. You need an alabaster figurine. The child doesn't. Whose prayers are more accepted? The child's prayers. Thou shalt not bow down to idols, or make any graven image to bow down to. But this is the world, you see. The world will set people up, and they do it on your abominations in the corner of these TVs. Idiots' lanterns, as they used to be called, and goggle boxes, and that thing in the corner. And what they do is that when there's an agenda that the government wishes to push, they bring in this expert. And he's not only an expert, he's got a PhD behind him, and the people are then supposed to sit up and pay attention, as they do Darwin. Well, Darwin says this, Darwin says that, and he's become their God. He is their God. And the creation that their God writes about and speaks about is his own creation. He is God. He came out of the mouth of the devil in the garden. Darwin is a God. And being God. And being God, he's created his own creation. And people are worshipping and bowing down and giving filial respect to him, a human being. Oh yeah. Lastly, on that point, the world knows very well, the media knows, government knows, this body knows and that body knows, that the people will worship those and give respect to those in worship who've got these PhDs and so on and so on and so forth. Well, he must have got it, Fred, because he's got a PhD. Yeah, well, okay. And what happens with this mindset? I'll tell you what happens with this mindset. Hundreds die. In fact, thousands die. We had a case in the United Kingdom. Okay, just one case I wish to bring to the attention. There's a fella, alright, and on his wall were certificates, a physician's certificate, doctor's certificates, on the wall. Right. His name was Dr. Harold Shipman. People went to him, never questioned him, because he was a doctor. They were wrong. He never proved himself to be a doctor. His certificates didn't make him a doctor. His learning didn't make him a doctor. Only qualified him to be a doctor. There's an ocean's difference. In practice, he wasn't a doctor. Judas did the same things as the rest of the disciples, but he wasn't a disciple of Christ. He was the enemy of Christ. Okay? Now, Dr. Shipman, people would go along, and it was the elderly that would suffer. And he used to kill them. But they trusted him because he was a doctor. Oh, I've been to my doctors. No, there's nothing wrong with that phrase. But when that phrase comes from the heart, that there is an inordinate trust that that man is a doctor, that he will do the right thing, and not to be careful, is wrong. Yes, we are supposed to have faith in people like that, but that faith has to be earned. It's not there by intrinsic right. A certificate cannot give an intrinsic right. And a fancy name cannot give an intrinsic right for us to trust them. They must show they can be trusted. Politicians say that we should trust them because they're politicians. They're in that position, that high position. No, we don't trust you. You should earn our respect. We have to be very, very careful. It's only the gullible and naive that are taken in by these blackguards and are used by these blackguards, and mainly MPs. Well, the whole bunch in the United Kingdom of our MPs. And then you've got the sidelines of them, which is the normal con man who will con you out of your money and con you out of your house and just basically steal from you by telling you lies and putting forth deception upon you. Invest in this and you'll rake it in. Hey? Oh, go and spend a couple of quid on a national lottery and you've got a chance of getting so many millions. But what they don't tell you is that there's so many millions and millions and millions against you. You haven't got a chance. You haven't got a chance. There's one in a million who will win. It's just an awful con. People taken in. Holy and Reverend is his name. That's the only name that we should bow to. And it is holy and reverend. It's not like the enemy. The name of Jehovah is holy and reverend. You know, you can go into an Anglican church, one of the daughters of the Antichrist. There's a fella there, and nowadays it's equally female, pouncing about in a dress. Okay, and of course if they get caught doing something they shouldn't, they can be defrocked. And they're going around and you're hearing people going, "Oh, Reverend, Reverend." That's idolatry. That's idolatry. I've been up to these people and asked them questions, and I've said, "Sir, what about this?" Reverend and holy does not belong to man. It belongs to God. Will ye rob God? Of course they will. Why? Because they are the enemy of God. Oh, they put on these faces, oh, pious faces, oh, wring their hands like Uriah Heep, ever so humble. But at the end of the day, behind it all, they've got their swords and their spears and they're fighting God. They're fighting God. They have not been changed, never will be changed, unless God puts forth his power in the day of his power towards them and convicts them of sin, of righteousness and of judgment to come, and has mercy upon them. To think of a man and to call a man reverend is an abomination. It's an attack upon God. It's a dismissal of God for man. And of course, just in case people don't understand, they get a washing up bottle and they cut part of it off and stick it round their throat. Stick it round their throat. Look at me, I'm special. Well, I look at you and you're sinful. There's one thing with Christianity. It's plain. It's common salvation. It's common faith. It's common language. It's common dealing. No, sir, you're nothing special. You're nothing special. The Arminians, you know, those ministers, corrupt ministers of corrupt minds and destitute of the truth, ever learning and never coming to the knowledge of the truth, who stand in pulpits the Lord's day after the Lord's day after the Lord's day and speak like some of the world speaks against the sin of the world, and are taken to be Christians because of it, who stand there with these dog collars on. And if you approach them and say that's similar to Rome, oh no, it's just a different shape. Yeah, well, it will be a different shape, but it's still Rome, because you're the part of the daughters, the harlots of Rome. So you will not have exactly the same collar, because the collar that belongs to Rome is the collar that belongs to Rome. You've got a different derivation of it because you are lower. You're only one of the daughters of Romanism, one of the harlots. So you're bound to be different. You still stick it round your throat. I said to a Protestant, he was declaring himself to be Protestant. He wasn't a Protestant, of course, in real terms. He'd got one of these washing up liquid things round his throat. Okay. And I said to him one day, seeing this, I said, your wife's going to take you out for a walk, is she? I see you've got your dog collar on. His face. Oh. Picture paints 1,000 words. He was offended because he reverenced his dog collar. Now, of course, Providence, God himself laughs from out of heaven, and hence we get these terms. By God. Man thinks, oh, I've created this term. No, no, no. God has created the term to mock you. That's why it's called dog collar. Because you're a load of dogs. Dog collar. It's like when a government, so the British government sits when there's these fake terrorist attacks, and they know they're fake, and they say, we're going to sit. They don't sit, of course. It's just words that they're saying. There's no proof that they're sitting. Or if some MPs get into 10 Downing Street, they're all having a shindig, you know, dancing around the table probably, with champagne and caviar and the whole lot, you know, laughing at the public as they do. Anyhows. Where were we? Yeah. Titles. When there is this fake news stories thrown out all over the press, all over the media, chucked out, comes out of the devil's mouth, spews out, alright, like a flow. It's all coming out, flowing out of the devil's mouth. Then the Prime Minister will say, we're going to have a meeting of Cobra. And of course, who came up with Cobra? But the Lord, to mock them. Because what's Cobra? Oh, it's a viper, it's a snake. You don't tell me that these things come by coincidence. A bunch of snakes. Hissing at the public. Come on now. Eh? And we could go on and on about how the Lord laughs and has them in derision. He's got a sense of humour. And there's the poor Arminian there saying God loves them. God loves them. He sent them a strong delusion that they should believe a lie because they have no interest in the truth. And a politician has no interest in the truth. He just declares shamefacedly that he has. Reverend and holy is his name. Ah, yes. Man would replace God. Here's me dog collar. I'm Reverend such and such. Reverend this, Reverend that, Reverend the... No, I'm not going to worship you. You're not holier than me. Nobody's holier than me. You're just a sinner and needs to be saved by grace. You've no reverence towards God. I am holy